Hello, I'm Paul, and this is Paul Plays with Fire. Welcome, come on in and grab a chair. Today on the show, we're making loose meat sandwiches. No, wait, we're making Maid-Rites. Wait, I thought we were making Tavern burgers. Stop. They're all the same thing. Loose meat sandwiches, Maid-Rites, Tavern burgers, and beef burgers are all basically the same thing. The only difference is where you were brought up. More about that later. For clarity, we'll call them loose meat sandwiches today. I was brought up calling them beef burgers, but loose meat sandwiches has a giggle factor going for it. What is a loose meat sandwich? It is a sandwich consisting of finely chopped and seasoned ground beef on a bun mixed with sautéed onions and topped with pickles and mustard and sometimes a few other things. That sounds good to me. Let's get at it, I'm hungry. While we're waiting for our griddle to heat up, we're gonna go ahead and talk through the ingredients. First we have ground beef. It's just 85-15 or 80-20 ground beef, ground chuck, cooked up real good. Just the right amount of fat, the right amount of flavor. And then we also have some beef broth to go with that. And that just keeps it moist on the grill, especially if you're working at a busy lunch counter and you've got a lunch rush that's an hour and a half long, you might want to add a little liquid to it along the way to keep it moist. And then we have pickles. It takes a lot of pickles to make a Maid-Rite, I'm telling you right now. The loose meat sandwiches, you'll go through the pickles. That's just the way it goes. And it also takes a lot of mustard to make a loose meat sandwich. Some goes into the meat, and then we'll later add some to the sandwich itself. And then we have some hamburger buns, just regular white hamburger buns, no seeds. Perfect for something like this. We will probably toast the bottoms of a few of them, just to keep them from getting soggy, because although that's not traditional, traditionally they use steam buns, a loose meat sandwich can get mighty moist on the bottom real quick. So toasting helps prevent that. A slice of cheese also helps prevent that. And then we have Worcestershire sauce, AKA British fish sauce. If you do a lot of Asian cooking, I do quite a bit of Asian cooking. I use quite a bit of fish sauce, and I've learned to really like it, and it really does enhance the flavor. If you eat a little bit of fish sauce by itself, it's not very good. But same with Worcestershire sauce. It is really tasty when you add it to other things, and it contains anchovies, fermented anchovies. That's what makes it so delicious. So just consider it British fish sauce. And then we also have hot dog chili, AKA hot dog sauce, AKA coney sauce. You might even some might call it skyline chili if you're from Cincinnati. We're gonna have a chili burger, and we've made some chili sauce to go with that. I'm not gonna show you how to make that chili sauce today. I'm gonna wait until later, and I'm gonna show you the whole chili sauce thing. It's gonna be a good one. Let's see, we get through all of our ingredients, a little salt and pepper, and that's about it. I think our griddle is heated up now. Yes, it is. We'll go ahead and throw that ground beef on and start chopping it up. This is a perfect job for the scraper. And we want to make this very fine. We want this very well chopped. We don't want any chunks of meat. We'll continue chopping and cooking, and we'll check back with you. Mrs. Paul Plays with Fire worked at a local loose meat sandwich shop in the 1970s. Later, I remember eating there with her many times. In addition to loose meat sandwiches, you could also get a cheese loose meat, a bowl of meat all by itself, and a chili loose meat sandwich. It was a small place with a counter seating surrounded by a center food prep area, and the staff could serve everyone in the place without ever leaving that center area. They don't make places like that anymore. Well, our ground beef is coming along nicely. And I forgot a couple of ingredients because I hadn't even prepared them yet. And that is some chopped onion. And we use some of that chopped onion together cooking with the meat to season it and flavor it. And we also have some minced garlic, and we'll use that in the meat to season it and flavor it also. I should mention the onions. I said we'll use some of this in the meat to season it and flavor it. We use the rest of it raw on top of a loose meat sandwich. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some of our onions. Saving some back for later, for on top of the loose meat sandwiches. And we'll mix that in. Continuing to chop while we go. Now's a good time to put on a little salt and pepper too. And I used about 1 onion in the pound of ground beef. And I used just a couple grinds of pepper, because I like pepper. And then we'll use about 3 pinches of salt. Continue to chop as we go. Loose meat sandwiches were invented right here in the Midwest in Muscatine, Iowa in the 1920s. That turned into the Maid-Rite franchise. On the other side of Iowa, at about the same time, a loose meat sandwich called the Tavern Burger was invented in a Sioux City, Iowa restaurant. Although the Tavern Burger restaurant has closed, several of the original Maid-Rites from the 1920s and 30s are still open. For fun, we decided to take a little road trip to visit one. Let's watch. We're at Taylor's Maid-Rite in Marshalltown, Iowa. This is a restaurant that opened in 1928, and then they started over across the street, and then they moved over. They built this building in the 1950s, but it's been continuously operating since 1928. Very impressive. We're going in to have a Maid-Rite and a piece of pie. Yeah. This is called Now we're going to add our mustard, and it's a tablespoon of mustard. Looks like about a tablespoon. And a tablespoon of Lee and Perrin Worcestershire sauce, British fish sauce. And that's a tablespoon. Out there. And the Worcestershire sauce does make the sandwich. Go ahead, try it with, try it without. And I remember reading that the Tavern Burger was a little less seasoned than the Maid-Rite. The Maid-Rite seasoning was very particular. And as a matter of fact, there was some dispute between franchise owners when they changed up the seasoning mix. The Marshalltown Maid-Rite, which was one of the original Maid-Rites, said, we ain't doing that. And there was a little bit of a kerfuffle. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle over all that. I don't know how it was eventually resolved, but it says, we don't know what you've done, but it's wrong. The way the Maid-Rite originally got its name, the original inventor in Muscatine made it up, and a delivery person came by. And he says, here, try this. I want your opinion. And he says, ooh, that's good. That's Maid-Rite. Not only to get a sandwich out of it, he got a name too. Named a whole franchise name. There, look at how nice that is getting beat up here. And we're not draining any of the fat off. That's a part of the flavor. We're just leaving that in there. We're just turning it over and turning it over. Now's the time for the beef broth. I know which way my griddle flows. My griddle flows that way. So we're gonna add a little bit of beef broth. I made a little well in the middle. We're just gonna add a little beef broth to it. Let it sit and moisten. And we'll see how that goes. And the process of adding some beef broth, letting it cook down, adding some beef broth, letting it cook down, do that about 3 times. I may or may not use the whole cup of beef broth, but doing that, the reducing of the broth over and over again adds to the depth and complexity of flavor. I know we're talking about beef burgers here, but still, there's something about that process, adding the broth and letting it reduce down. It just really makes the flavor of the loose meat sandwich. Now we're keeping all those juices in there. We haven't lost anything to the trap yet. And we'll just watch. That'll reduce down a little bit. In just a couple minutes. We'll do it again. Do that a couple more times, and then we'll make some sandwiches. Meanwhile, we should stir our chili. Whew. That's about right. That's where it needs to be. We're located right smack in the middle of loose meat sandwich territory. One of the interesting things about loose meat sandwiches is that the name varies depending on where you came from. If you came from around here, they're known as beef burgers. If you came from over that way, they're known as Maid-Rites, after the chain of red and white Maid-Rite restaurants. At church food stands, they are loose meat sandwiches for some reason. And up over that way, they're Tavern burgers. In Illinois, they're called loose hamburger sandwiches, and in Kansas, they're called New Ways, after the New Way restaurant chain. And in Nebraska, they have a variation they call a runza. And don't confuse a loose meat sandwich with a sloppy joe. The sloppy joe is a completely different topic for another day. We'll go ahead and do another round of beef broth. And let that reduce. Now imagine you're working in a sandwich shop, busy lunch counter, and you got people coming in all day. So you got a lot of meat going. And you don't want to let it get dried out, but you want it to be ready when everybody gets there. So what you do is something exactly like this. You have a whole bunch of it cooked and ready to go, and then you just keep adding a little broth as you go during the day, just to keep it moist so that it's ready when somebody walks in. That's what we're doing here. And I think that accidentally, or maybe on purpose, added to the flavor of the loose meat sandwich. Now the church ladies, when they make loose meat sandwiches, they do them in the big old roasters, and those can cook for quite a while too, because you know the church ladies, they like to get stuff going early in the morning for something that doesn't need to be ready till noon. We'll do one more edition of beef broth, then I think we'll be calling it good. We'll just let that cook down. Meanwhile, I should toast some buns. And the garlic, I forgot to add the garlic. It'll be nice and fresh this way. Added one more addition of beef broth just to help with the garlic, since I forgot to add it earlier. Oh, and one more thing. I mentioned the toasting of buns. We're going to toast the buns with a little mayonnaise, my favorite toasting agent. Turning off the burners, we're done. It's time to make some loose meat sandwiches. We've got our chili all ready to go over here. We'll move that up out of the way. I think that's fine. We'll give it a stir. Yeah, looks like hot dog chili, all right. Okay, let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. Let's start with a basic. We have a toasted bun, and we're gonna make a very basic loose meat sandwich. We're gonna put a little mustard on the cap, because mustard is a necessary ingredient for a loose meat sandwich. They're gonna put about 3 pickles, maybe 4. These are kind of small, on the top. And then we're going to take a big spoon and we're going to put about 3-4 ounces on the bottom. You want it to spill out because that's part of the fun. You got a mess to pick up when you're done. And then the pickles will stick to the mustard. And there you go, there's one. Next we're going to make one with onions. A regular with onions. pickles. And I did it wrong. Oh well. We'll put the mustard on the bottom this time. We'll put the loose meat on the bottom this time. And then we'll add a little onions to it. Next, we're going to make one with cheese. We're going to put a slice of American cheese on there. And put it on the bottom so that it has a chance to melt. We'll put that down there, and we'll prepare the top the normal way with mustard and pickles. There we go. Just like that. Then we're going to make, oh yeah. My brother-in-law's father used to stop into Mrs. Paul Plays with Fire's sandwich shop on a regular basis, and he would get just a bowl of meat. He was before his time. He was keto before keto was cool. He would get a bowl of meat, and then pickles, lots of pickles, lots of onions, and lots of mustard. We call this the Howard Special. And finally, we'll call this the Paul Special. We're gonna put a slice of cheese down. We're gonna put meat on top of it. Then we're going to put mustard on the cap. Pickles on the cap. Built it backwards, doesn't matter, don't care. And then hot dog chili, AKA hot dog sauce, chili sauce. I'll show you how to make this when I do this real soon. I'm looking forward to that one. There, I don't know how it gets much better than that. That's just kind of pretty right there. It's beautiful, just beautiful. Well, I think it's time to dig in. We'll start with the basic, the regular. Mustard and pickles. And even after all of our fooling around, the bottom is still very good, very intact. And then with onions, the regular with onions. The onions add a nice thing. And a regular with cheese, no onions. So good. And the keto special, the Howard Special. My brother-in-law's father's special. Well, that's good. That's really good. Really brings out the flavor of the meat. And finally, look at that piece of art. Look at that, just thing of beauty. You gotta stay over your plate though. Oh, that hot dog chili just makes it. That is a meal fit for a king. Maid-Rite burger meat and the chili and the cheese, it all just goes together. It's just perfect. I hope you enjoyed the walk down Loose Meat Sandwich Lane. I'm Paul, and this has been Paul Plays with Fire. Thanks for watching.